Hi, welcome to Storytime with Gigi. Today we're going to be reading another story from our Disney Friendship Stories, A Treasury of Tales. Our story today is from Dumbo. It's called Dumbo Takes Flight. Isn't he cute? The lady elephants cooed when the baby elephant was delivered to the circus train. Isn't he a darling? Mrs. Jumbo beamed with pride at her new son, Jumbo Jr. Ah, ah, chew! The baby elephant sneezed and his whole body shook, and his ears suddenly uncurled. They were huge, much bigger than a normal elephant's ears. The lady elephants gasped and shook their heads in disapproval. Just look at those ears, they said. Precious little Jumbo, one lady elephant said mockingly. Jumbo? You mean Dumbo, another cried. They all laughed from that day on. Everyone called the little elephant Dumbo. Mrs. Jumbo ignored them. As far as she was concerned, her son was perfect. Soon the train arrived in town. Once the equipment was unloaded and the tents were pitched, the circus parade began. A band played merrily and crowds cheered as the animals marched through the streets. Dumbo followed his mother, but his ears were so big that he tripped over them and fell into a mud puddle. A bunch of kids jeered at the little elephant and began to taunt him. They pulled his ears so hard that Dumbo fell over when they let go. That's mean. Mrs. Jumbo was furious. She picked up a bale of hay and threw it to the ground. The people who ran the circus were worried she might hurt someone, so they put chains around her and locked her in a circus wagon by herself. Heartbroken, Dumbo sat in a corner and cried. The other elephants snickered. It's all his fault, they decided. Yes, him with those ears that only a mother could love, one of them said. When Dumbo walked by, the other elephants pretended not to see him. Nobody wanted to talk to him. The baby elephant was all alone. Luckily, Timothy Q. Mouse was sitting nearby. Poor little guy, he said to himself. There he goes without a friend in the world. The mouse decided to help. He sneaked up to the elephants. You like to pick on little guys, huh? He shouted. Well, why don't you pick on me? The elephants ran away quickly. They were all scared of mice. Dumbo was afraid of the mouse, too. He hid in a haystack. Timothy tried to coax him out. Look, Dumbo, the mouse said, I'm your friend. Come on out. But the little elephant just shook his head. Timothy finally got Dumbo to come out by offering him a peanut and some promises. He told Dumbo he'd help him find his mother again. First, though, he was going to come up with a circus act for the little elephant. The ringmaster decided to try something new the next night. A pyramid of elephants. Timothy convinced him to make Dumbo the grand finale. The young elephant was supposed to jump on a springboard and catapult to the top of the pyramid. When Jumbo tried it, though, he smashed into the bottom of the pyramid, causing the rest of the elephants to tumble to the ground and the circus tent to collapse. Yikes. The elephants were bruised, bandaged, and embarrassed. They couldn't wait to get back at Dumbo, but the ringmaster was angry at him too. He decided to make the little elephant into a clown. The other clowns painted Dumbo's face and dressed him like a baby. They even made him wear a diaper. As flames leaped up all around him, the clowns pretended to rescue him from a burning building. They even threw water in his face. As if that wasn't bad enough, the clowns then pushed him off a tall tower and into a tub of plaster. The audience loved the act, but Dumbo felt ashamed. After the show, Timothy tried to cheer up the elephant. You're a big hit, he announced. You ought to be proud. Dumbo just looked at the ground. If this was what being a star was like, he didn't want any part of it. Timothy stood on a cake of soap and helped the elephant clean the makeup off his face. Come on, he nudged his friend. I gotta watch behind your ears. Dumbo barely managed to smile. Before long, big tears trickled down Dumbo's face. Timothy didn't know how to make his friend feel better. Then he thought of something. He snapped his fingers. I forgot to tell you. We're going to go see your mother. The mouse led Dumbo to the wagon where Mrs. Jumbo was tied up. The baby elephant stood on his hind legs and peered in anxiously at his mother. Mrs. Jumbo tried to come to the window, but the chains held her back. Luckily, her trunk fit between the bars. She scooped her baby up and rocked him, soothing him with a lullaby. Dumbo felt safe and peaceful. When it was time to say goodbye, mother and son held on to each other for as long as they could. As he and Timothy returned to the tent, Dumbo began to cry. The mouse tried to comfort him. We may have a lot of hard luck up till now, Timothy said, but you and me is going to be big things together. Dumbo was still sad, but it was nice to have a friend who believed in him. The next day, Timothy woke up and noticed that he and Dumbo were in a tree. He had no idea how they'd gotten there. While the elephant slept, the mouse tried to figure it out. Now let's see, he mused. Elephants can't climb trees, can they? No, that's ridiculous. Couldn't jump up? It's too high. A group of crows were sitting on a branch above them. Hey there, son, maybe y'all flew up, the crow said. Timothy laughed and then stopped. That's it, he cried. Suddenly everything made sense. Timothy grabbed one of Dumbo's ears and shouted, Why didn't I think of this before? Your ears, they're perfect wings. The very things that had held you down are going to carry you up. It took a while to convince Dumbo, though. But when Timothy handed him a feather and told him it had magical powers that would make him fly, Dumbo spread his ears and soared through the air. Under the big top that night, Dumbo stood on the top of the burning tower, clutching his magic feather. He was about to surprise the whole circus with his flying. But when he jumped, the feather slipped. Dumbo plummeted toward the ground, paralyzed with fear. But Timothy urged him on, shouting, The magic feather was just a gag. You can fly. Honest you can. Right before he hit the floor, Dumbo spread his ears. Maybe Timothy was right. Then the most amazing thing happened. He began to fly. He flew higher and higher, even doing loop-the-loops. The audience was amazed. The next day, Dumbo made headlines in the newspapers. Soon, he was setting world records and appearing in movies, too. Just as Timothy had predicted, Dumbo was a star. None of the other animals dared to make fun of him now. Dumbo was the circus's main attraction. He had his own car on the circus train, even though he usually flew, but when Dumbo needed a rest, he would stop to see his mother who'd finally been freed, and he always kept a special place in his heart for his faithful friend, Timothy Q. Mouse. And that's our story. I hope you liked it. Make sure you like and subscribe and share with your friends. Bye until next time.